Good now, everybody, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. It is Tuesday, September 24th. And I think I just swallowed a bug. This is not the place to swallow bugs. This is not the place to be a mad scientist, despite what my wild hair would have you believe. This is the place for helpful news, commentary, and answers to your crypto questions. We've got lots of different stories to go through, hopefully lots of questions to answer for you. If you're just joining us, you're seeing my face for the first time, welcome. We're live Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're here to help. Happy to help. All we're missing is you. So, do me a favor, check out theriseupmorningshow.com for all the links related to our fine show. You can find our YouTube channel there. We've got the latest episodes of Rise Up After Dark with all your favorite altcoin picks. We have got the sign up to the occasional newsletter and the link to the Rise Up Discord where the show lives 24/7. I see Jessica's in here. Good morning, Jessica. Thanks for posting that latest article about Kamala Harris making her firmest statement on crypto yet on the campaign trail. Lots of goodies in there. Many articles, many resources, tips, and tricks to help you navigate the crypto space. And if you're somebody who needs a little more help with crypto, then that's the place for you. It's totally free to join. And all of our other paid services like live classes, coaching, premium membership to get deeper access to us, to the community, to accelerate your learning journey, that's where they are. And like I say, all that's missing is you. So let us know below if you've got a crypto question, if you've got something that's on your mind that you want to talk about. We're here to help you facilitate some light bulb moments. Have some inspiration, insight, and discovery. And if you aren't one of our friends in the community, then please do tap the little button down below to request to come up live. If you've got a question you need us to help you with something in real time, we'd love to do it. I'll be back later. Gotta get to work. Sounds good. No problem. Work hard. Have fun. I see Carol is in. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, CJ. Great to see you, CJ. Alex and Will are going to be here shortly, my colleagues and co-hosts, and then we're going to get into it. Will did not get a chance yesterday to give us the updates. I have not Googled it because, like Alex sometimes says, since Will came into my life, what need do I have to Google these things? I did not Google the Japanese interest rates that we were getting over the weekend, and because nothing appeared to happen, I'm not that worried about it. Good morning, Tori says, today is a typewriter day for me. What does that mean? Does that mean you are sitting at your typewriter? You are drafting something? How exciting. Let's see how he's doing. What's going on, man? Oh my gosh. Alex and I had quite the adventure yesterday. Tori was there and a couple of our other friends were there too. Thank you to everybody who was hanging out with us. We have figured out at long last a good solution, closing a door, to stream the show to Twitter, YouTube, and Unlonely on Farcaster. So starting imminently, you will be able to catch us not only on TikTok, but you'll be able to share us with your friends there and hopefully on Facebook too, all in an effort to reach a few more people who might not have touch with helpful information to navigate the crypto space. Tori says she repairs typewriters on Tuesday. Tori, how have we been friends and I did not know that that was something that you were doing on Tuesdays? Typewriter Tuesday, repairing typewriters. What a fun time. Okay, here comes Will. Fantastic. David, good morning. Thank you for being here with us. Did I see? Let's see.
Hi.
Morning, Will. How's it going, man?
Good. Just getting my stand set up. I thought I had a little bit more time. Unless I could do this.
Yeah,
Just
man.
good.
That's perfect.
Okay, sweet. Awesome.
That's absolutely.
Have you guys ever seen the tops of my teeth? I don't think so. This is good content.
Well, welcome, brother. Alex is getting his coffee. Everyone's just setting up, sitting in, and we'll get started. I don't know if you heard me say it. I neglected to ask you yesterday that I have absolutely no idea what the Bank of Japan did with their interest rates and if that had anything to do why we got some higher numbers. But what happened? Because that was the news I was looking forward to over the weekend.
The way that Will found out what happened is a funny story.
Oh?
Oh yeah, I got the date wrong because in Japan it was the right date, but Japan's like a whole day ahead, so the news hit 24 hours sooner than I thought it was going to, and I was very surprised because I made a video in the morning. I was like, all right, guys, if Japan does blah blah blah, I think this. If Japan doesn't blah blah blah, I think that. And someone commented like, pretty sure it's already out, bro. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, so they held rates, which is what the markets wanted. It was either holding rates or they were going to hike rates. They hike rates, some really bad shit was going to happen. Instead, they decided to hold rates. So everything was good. So that put me in a position where I was like, oh, hey, the big like bearish trap that is potentially going to play out at some point is just kind of being kicked to a later date for us to worry about. Which is the last thing that I was waiting for to be bullish. So yeah, and now I'm just waiting for like a market correction, a little short one, and we'll be looking to buy altcoins unless like, I don't know, Israel blows up more of Lebanon and the rest of the Middle East goes into war with Israel, and then like, markets take a tumble. Short of that, I think. Right. Short of that, I think we're pretty good so long as U.S. economic data keeps coming out good.
Do you see this question here from David Smith, who asked why Japan has such a big impact if this is always the case? We talked about this last week, but do you want to give him the TLDR?
Yeah, so for the past 10 or 12 years, Japan, in an effort to stimulate their economy, because Japan's economy has been really struggling since the end of the 80s. One of the reasons why is because of their declining population, and specifically their declining workforce. So if you have less workers, your economy doesn't grow. In fact, it shrinks. That's really bad. So what Japan has been doing is they have been putting in place economic and monetary policies to stimulate the market in a very aggressive way. They've been the most aggressive market for money printing in the world, bar none. We think we do it a lot in the United States, and we do. Japan, oh man, they make us look like chumps when it comes to money printing. And so for the past 12 years, Japan has made it essentially free to borrow money because it stimulates the economy. So for the past like 10 or 12 years, very, very savvy institutional investors took their money over to Japan and said, I would like to borrow yen essentially for free, took yen and then made investments in the markets, right? Because they made free money. They'll make an investment, they'll sell the investment, they'll pay back the interest, and they just made free money, right? So people have been doing that for about 12 years. Then on July 31st of this year, the Bank of Japan said, hey, we have inflated the crap out of the yen, and it's now becoming a really big danger to our economy. So instead of having 0% interest rates, we're going to hike them just a tiny little baby bit. And what that did is it caused, I won't go into all the details, but it caused a massive amount of liquidations in Japanese markets. Because in that 12-year time period of money coming from other places in the world into Japanese markets, $4 trillion were brought over to the Japanese markets. 4 trillion with a T, right? A lot of money. And a lot of liquidations happened, which is why the stock market collapsed across the board. That's why crypto collapsed across the board on July 31st. And the reason why is because positions in Japanese markets got wiped off the board. Not all of them, mind you, but a good chunk. And then people had to cover those positions, So they sold stocks, they sold Bitcoin ETF, they sold other assets that they held to cover those positions because they had to. So that's why we care. So if the Bank of Japan hikes interest rates, again, there is more fear of that. And it's called a carry trade. When you take money from one market into another market because there's essentially a better exchange value there, it's called a carry trade. There's more nuance to it, but that's essentially a way to think about it. That carry trade in Japan will unravel more if they continue to hike interest rates, right? I skipped some things, but that's the chunk of it. So that's why what happens from the Bank of Japan specifically is really impactful to the markets, because that is the largest carry trade situation to have ever existed in financial human history.
Well,
So that's why we care.
it is not. It is not an uncommon situation in stocks, bonds, financial instruments that like a small group of people will invest or leverage or do something with money that creates like a rabbit trail of effects. I don't know what economists would call it, but it kind of reminds me of GameStop. When you had this group of people really aggressively taking a strong position to undercut someone else's eventual position. In that case, it was retail investors who were chasing after what they saw big hedge funds doing, shorting GameStop stock. And it created this incredible cascading effect in the market as one person had to cover their tracks and then another person doubled down. It's very interesting. It's very interesting how the market dynamics work when there is I won't say a loophole, but an opportunity like that,
Yeah, well, there's always opportunities if you're looking around in the market, but the only people who know where to look are those who are educated in this, which is why we're all here. Yeah, so it's good, but we don't share that education in like high school or college unless you take the college courses
Right.
and stuff like that.
And
Yeah.
honestly though, I'm glad that some of my high school teachers didn't share it. I wish they had been equipped to share it, but I'm glad I didn't get it from them. It would have been a lot different, I think. Alex, were you by chance looking up the CHIPS Act?
Not specifically.
We're looking up the CHIPS Act, are we?
We just had a question come through, and it was conspicuously timed with Alex going like this, and which usually tells me Alex has got his head around a question, and he's gonna give me an answer for it. Somebody asked it. I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
According to our friend Cody in the comments, that the president has appointed a new advisor who has some interest in crypto, but I haven't.
So this isn't.
Do I know about this?
It's not breaking news at all. The Chips and Science Act was
Been around
passed
for a while.
a long time ago.
A year?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And it was a very, very good thing.
Is this the one that gave us a blockchain advisor?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that's not the big thing.
Okay.
No, that wasn't the point. It was just a
I remember the headlines though. Now I'm clicking into it. I'm waiting for my computer to load.
Yeah. No. The long and short of it is that a blockchain advisor was appointed. I don't know who it is, and I haven't seen anything about it ever since.
Representative Darren Soto of Florida. He's a Democrat.
So in that sense, I'm super curious to see if perhaps it gets mentioned in some capacity today. Does he serve on the House Finance Committee? Because old Gare Bear is being grilled by Congress today or tomorrow. Today. What date is it? What's the date? Today.
They'll be on them Diddy's videos. We won't have an election. I don't think we have to worry about them being on those videos. Maybe the Epstein list, but
Yeah, I am. When I search for his name, I'm not seeing a ton. I do see finance and technology is his. He's introduced some bills.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, let us know if that's what you were referring to. If there's something novel here.
I am way more interested in McHenry and Ammer and others grilling Gary this morning. The last time Gary talked to Congress, was it the last time? He's done it a couple times. It never goes particularly well. He's going to do a lot of dodging.
it never goes well.
I imagine that today there's going to be. I would not be surprised if it's more hardcore because the agency lost a lot of their teeth, and I'm very curious to see how that all goes. There's a famous exchange between McHenry and Gensler, wherein he was trying to force him to answer the question: Is Ether a commodity or a security? He wouldn't do it, and he wouldn't even acknowledge that it was a problem that the commodities regulator views ETH as a commodity and the securities regulator views it as a security, and they're both running into each other regulatorily speaking. to try to put some sort of rule out in place, and he was just like, can we at least admit that like this is a problem and investors don't know what to think and you're doing a shit job? And he just refused to answer the question. So I'm assuming that that's what's going to be.
Well, especially because, like you said, Chevron's gone, so the SEC has lost their teeth. But also at the same time, they all smell blood in the water with Gary because of the new administration.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
So
and
there's blood in the water.
that's the question, Will, that I'm wondering, because Gary is so lame, and I'm curious if he knows. Like, you would think that if you had the idea that your days in your position were numbered, perhaps it would be time to, like, I don't know, shake things up. You know, like
face the music,
nothing is
show some leadership.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you think about it in terms of the presidency. In theory, nothing is more potent or, you know, good for their legislative agenda, but perhaps not their overall popularity to be like on the way out of your last term. You know, like look at the way that 2-term presidents end their final 6 months by, you know, proposing things that they've been scared to throw out in front of Congress before because it might lose them some popularity points. It'd be interesting to see if Gary won. I mean, he can't really do that in the crypto sense, right? Because he lost a lot of his oomph. So it's
He lost a lot of his gumption.
His
A lot
chutzpah.
of his je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
Khalil, it should be today. I think it's today that Gary talks to Congress.
All 5 commissioners are set to testify
Okay. In that case,
this week sometime anyway.
I really hope it's just like 4 questions of like, what is Gary doing? Just what has happened? And get to Gary and just like just crucify him.
if we want to talk about
Gary.
so there's 2 options, right? Neither one is particularly great for Gary, whether you want to admit it or not. You have Trump, who wants to fire him, so we already know kind of what his agenda would be with regards to handling the SEC, and Gary, you know, get him gone. On the other side, you have Harris, who has specifically made the claim more than once publicly that she does not like enforcement by litigation. And that is Gary's MO. That's his whole playbook. So that part is interesting. I don't know if it means anything. It, you know, wouldn't shock me if it turned out to be an election, you know, a vote collecting platitude. But that one is not something. That's not a like big, sexy, sweeping statement, you know, like that a candidate could make to garner votes. That's more like a really specific, just observation. Like, I don't think this is the way to enforce the law. So I'm very curious to see if that one, like if she were to win, does that fucking mean anything? We'll see. I don't know. But that should be a statement that piques people's interest.
I'm extremely interested to see them all testify together. Representative Haddock said, I think it's going to be interesting to see their dynamic, the commissioners, because they're usually talking in private, play out in public, like a family reunion where you see all the dysfunction. I think that's going to be really good. Hopefully it yields some interesting clips.
I would pay money to watch Hester and Gary talk.
Oh my God, me too.
Just to see what those interactions are like.
Yeah.
I imagine it's just a lot of Hester Pierce being like, it's just a lot of that. It's just a lot of that.
Yeah, I bet.
I hate you. I hate my boss. I hate my boss so much. I hate my boss so much.
I want to know how many dissenting opinions she has pre-drafted, and then if she, like, the day something happens, does she just, like, rifle through her Rolodex and be like, okay, this one is the perfect level of pith. Full set.
Full set.
We had another question related to regulation and law about XRP and Ripple, about the appeal. DeFi Frog asks, wasn't the last day for appeal yesterday? And I certainly didn't know that the deadline was yesterday. And can't see
I'm not sure what
that I'm not. I don't know.
Let me see if I can find something on it for
That
you.
would be a pretty short time frame to require an appeal filed.
It says days away in an article I'm finding from yesterday. And it looks like
the legal system, especially around large-scale securities cases like this. 2 weeks is nothing in the legal system. 2 weeks is nothing. I mean, I've seen traffic ticket hearings be bumped 4 months.
You see that wild story that's going around TikTok right now? The gentleman's name is escaping me. He's supposed to be executed
today.
Today is the day. I thought. Oh, I saw a video yesterday that said he had 4 more days, and a lot of people will just
executed.
There's a gentleman who's on death row who's been more or less exonerated for this crime, in the sense that while a judge hasn't ruled he's innocent, his prosecution, the family, he's on death row for murder. The family of the victims, court evidence, the prosecution have all said, hey, the DNA that we have in this case is conclusively revealed not to be his. We'd like more time for this trial. It has nothing to do with crypto, but it's just talking about timely appeals. There's been a switch in governance that has caused someone else who is now governing his state to say, essentially, I don't really care what went on before. I don't have time to attend to this. I'm not going to reverse this decision. And all people are asking for is time. There's an innocent man who is about to be killed. It's a
horrifying. Well, this governor in particular has a terrible track record. He's over here. He's governed over 11 executions, and he's never granted clemency for any of them, regardless of varying circumstances. This particular instance, essentially, is a man who has been on death row for a long time, is slated to be executed today, and DNA evidence came to light that could very easily exonerate him. It is certainly enough to put into question the beyond a reasonable doubt burden of proof for guilt, especially for capital crime. The victim's family was actively pushing for the execution to be stayed, and the governor refused officially yesterday to stay it.
Well, that's no good.
Yep. Yeah. The U.S. legal system is an absolute dumpster fire of bullshit propped up by people who couldn't care less.
Well, Marcellus Williams, brother, your heart's going out to you.
In some good news,
yes.
Last night, I missed this. China announced aggressive rate cuts. They've also announced a plan to essentially inject 500 billion Chinese yuan, or yuan, I should say, into the economy. And they're also lowering the capital requirement for banks, which will help with loans and also to put more money into the economy. So China's trying to stimulate their economy more. Global liquidity goes up. Cryptocurrency can go up too. So hopefully this means we can still have a very good Q4 and nothing breaks in the meantime.
Yeah, so on that kind of note, obviously, there's some renewed attention on crypto, lots of the we're so back sentiments flying around.
Yeah.
There was absolutely, so I posted a video just about Sui yesterday, kind of exactly what we talked about on the show, right? It's just the idea of, hey, if you just discovered Sui for the first time because it's up 3x in a couple months, don't ape. You need to understand what you're doing, and you should probably understand the thing that you're investing in.
I made a video on that this morning too, on that same thing. Just like, hey, if you're thinking about buying, here are some reasons why now is not a good time. But I like Sui; it's on my list to buy. Just not now. Here's one.
And I made some knowing sacrifices with the video to keep it a respectable amount of time, to not put in all of the disclaimers, because that's the tough part, right? When you make a video about any crypto, technically you should probably include like about 2 straight minutes of just verbal disclaimer. But it's really hard to make content that way. So, obviously, like it was not an indictment of Sui's longevity, viability, or value. It was just more of a statement like, hey, this is probably an unsustainable rally. It could go higher. It could also not. It was really just supposed to put in perspective for people, that, hey, in a sea of videos where everyone is telling you this thing is going to $20, consider the world wherein it does not. And I mean, dude, there were some wild comments on that video. Like, I've been holding since 20 cents. I'm not selling a penny till $7. Like, brother, you're insane.
Yeah.
I encourage you to rethink that thesis. and I think that
I have done that before. Please don't. And then they just run off and go and get hurt. And you're like, I told.
yeah, and it's
We
not
all
like
have to learn hard lessons.
nothing says you have to sell the bag, the entire thing, right? Like scrape something off the top so that if in the short medium term we don't moon. Because, hey, newsflash, not everything worldwide has changed. There's still plenty of reasons to be a little bit cautious. And that's just the thing that I want to avoid. It's like a campaign we have to go on every single time the market picks up any steam, which is just like, hey, take a deep breath and just slow down for a second. Because FOMO leads you to make panicked decisions. Panic is telling, and you are not your best self when you're panicking, whether you're panicking in a good way or in a bad way, just kind of that like frantic need to like, I gotta sell or buy something. It's not like the way to approach a hyper volatile, risky financial market, especially if you're, newer. And for the record, I would still call myself new, and it's been 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah, and I think we can never overstate for people who may not understand it, because that's a tricky thing. Like, when do you buy? When do you sell? It gives a lot of people a lot of anxiety that you really don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You don't have to sell in denominations of one or more. All these currencies, for the most part, are fractional. Just like you can give somebody a penny instead of $1. You can buy something at one price, however much or little you want, even if it's not in whole numbers, and then sell however much you want if it goes up or down in price. It's totally in your control. You don't have to wait for a market to be open. All you need is to have an internet connection. And it can be a really good strategy. You might have heard people say DCA, to buy your way in a little bit at a time in dollar cost averaging. But it's also a good way to sell yourself out a little bit at the time. Alex is famous now for taking good profits. When the market is green and numbers are up, you can sell a little bit. And then when the numbers are red and the market is down, you can buy a little bit. And over time, the crypto that you hold will have been purchased at a lower cost and sold at a higher cost. And that's the whole name of the game. Buy low, sell high, you'll make money.
Yeah, I guess that's
What'd I miss?
the juxtaposition of Will and I's 2 comments.
Did you have a fight in the comments?
No. It's just our comments came in at the same time towards something, and we took the same kind of answer, the same place, but different paths to get there. Sad,
Spooky,
scary.
Yeah. I gotta add an S word. Solemn. There you go.
On that note, I forgot.
We were just talking about buying loans. I was just giving a bumper sticker for folks who might be newer.
Just it's okay. So one thing that I became comfortable with, that literally was I credit this with being the defining factor in the cessation of my constant losing in crypto, was just when you can, say out loud to yourself that you're okay taking money off the table, understanding that you could miss out on more gains, like, recognizing that it could continue to go up and you may sell some of it a bit early. That is far and away more of a preferable outcome than missing the entire thing altogether and holding it back down, which plenty of people do repeatedly. And then 2, just understanding that, hey, that still means that I walked away with something. And especially with, these like more fringe altcoin type things, if you're sitting down at the altcoin table with money and you have any opportunity to get up and leave with more money than you sat down with, you won. Someone might win more, but that doesn't negate the fact that you did well, and that's okay. I just hate the mentality that people get where, like, hey, you have a thing and you did well and your investment is up and you're securing some profits and you're in a better place than you were before you made the thing. Someone else might win a little bit more. That doesn't mean that you didn't win. And I don't like it when people shame that investor for like having a conservative strategy that fits for them. that other cool thing that happened in that Sui video, there's multiple comments where someone was like, I bought here, already sold this. Like, I don't care, man. I'm in for the long haul. I'm like, you don't understand. You're so not the target for this video. Like,
Yes.
you just told me that you had a plan. You came up with some numbers that made sense. You put in an amount of money that worked for you and it did well or whatever. And you adjusted and you took an action and then you progressed and now you're monitoring and keeping track. That's what yes. Congratulations. Like, you killed it. This wasn't for you. This was for the people who are like, Sui, where do I buy it? I must acquire now. And then ape, that's the person.
Oh, another quick tidbit. If you are that person who's been looking to find out how to buy a cryptocurrency, one of the fastest, shortest, easiest ways you can get there is with a website like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko. There are lots of great sites like this, but those are two of our favorites. They have a little tab where you look up the price of your cryptocurrency, the market cap. It'll say markets, and it'll show you a whole list of places where you can go to register for an account to buy or sell or trade that particular cryptocurrency. Sui, you wouldn't have a problem finding. But like both of these guys said, you should have at least one or two reasons why you think that now is a good time that don't have anything to do with the dollar sign attached to it or your favorite influencer who just mentioned it. Not a good reason to buy.
Yep. Also, I put out a Sui video this morning too, and I like it. I like Sui. But it was also saying that, like, hey, if you're thinking about buying it at the end of September and into the first bit of October, I just highlighted three things. One was Bitcoin looks overbought in the short term. Sui is the most overbought altcoin in the cryptocurrency market right now in the top 100. It's not close. It's very, very, very overbought. And the third thing, too, is Sui will have a 5% supply increase on October 1st. So it looks like Bitcoin could use a little short-term cool-off before we continue upwards, barring bad news. Sui could definitely use a cool-off to a big degree. And cool-offs always happen. And then on top of that, you'll have a 5% increase in supply that will add just a little. That's not a huge increase, right? That's not a huge increase. But, it is an increase that will add some extra weight to bring the price down. So, if take the FOMO feeling you have to, I must buy Sui need now, and just, recognize lizard brain, and then, look at those things. And then, be a little patient. Being patient can be good, guys.
And, I hear a lot of people right now talking about, like, what should I do in response to the price? I was part of a live conversation last night where somebody was talking about, I don't know if it's going to go to 65 or if it's going to go down to 60. And I could just hear in the voice this sort of like trepidation or conviction that they needed to do something either way. And I feel
that's a strong feeling. Like when you get it, you're like, I need it, I gotta get it, and it's like, that even me, I feel like you guys too. It's like I'm a human, just like that pull is so strong sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I find that when I get into those places, it's usually an indicator that I'm a little too overinvested or that I'm paying too much attention day to day, and I've lost the core. For me, I do better in the markets when I'm looking longer term, when I'm taking less action, when I'm not listening to my monkey brain. And when I'm zooming out, Bitcoin, I believe, is going to go up in value. It is always, therefore, a good time for me to buy more Bitcoin before it does. And as long as I'm sticking to that, I can sleep well at night. I don't have to worry if it's going to go up to 70, if it's going to go down to 30. If it does and I happen to catch it, I can take actions, profits, or buy a little more accordingly. But I don't want people in the audience to feel so like you don't have to do anything, and you will probably miss an opportunity every single day. But that's not why you are. If you're not rich yet, that's not why you're not rich yet. It is much better to move at a slow pace, a manageable pace. I mean, I don't know. Can you guys?
That's not what the people want to hear, Evan.
No,
they want to hear Lambo now.
But that's the road. Machiste was saying in the airdrop, "Oh, I missed the Sui airdrop. Just another chance at life-changing wealth. Just another Tuesday." I could count though on the number of my hands and my toes, how many airdrops or whatever I missed because I wasn't paying attention at that particular time. But I can count even more the opportunities I have fumbled the bag because I was doing too much. Does that make sense? I feel like that's how I get hosed.
On the flip side of that, the amount of time I've spent on airdrops that ended up not giving me stuff that was worth the time and effort. I am now of the opinion where I am gonna stop airdrop hunting because I'm just like 90% of the time it's like, sure, some of them are good hits. I got really lucky with what Jido or Camino, I think it was Jido. Jido gave like 10 grand. And I was like, like that doesn't happen. But I put so much time into airdrops, and it's like, would you like $20? And I'm like, no, I mean, sure, but more, I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do it anymore. It's not worth the time in my mind. I got lucky once and I'll walk away. I won the lottery once and I'm going to stop playing. It's kind of where I'm at.
Where are you at, Will, with what I don't know, with what's all going on? If you're out of the lottery, you're not going to play. Do you feel that way about the meme coin casino? Alex, what about you? Because I'll tell you what, I haven't been in a meme coin casino in probably a couple months.
Nope.
I've been thinking about, so I came to the real, I started doing some quick math. So what I did is, I think this is actually a good exercise. Hold on a second, I just want to reply to Machiste. Actually, Machiste, instead of replying, I'll say, Machiste, it was Jido over on Solana. I brought maybe a handful of thousands of dollars over there, and they gave me $10,000 as like, thanks for using us. I was like, you are welcome.
It was like a criminally participated in airdrop event, and it became famous because a guy on Twitter posted that he staked one single soul in the appropriate pool for one single day and was given a $10,000 airdrop because of how few people participated.
Right place at the right time, man.
Yeah,
crushed it.
That's why it's good to pay attention to stuff in a bear market. That was 2023 or early 2024, I forget. But sorry, Evan, what was the question?
The question was, I've noticed myself spending less and less time gambling in crypto, less time in a meme coin casino.
Yeah, I will be gambling far less, but like I do think, this little run we've had, other than Sui, meme coins have once again been the leads. If you take a look at them. So like I'll have a little bit of exposure, but like in 2023 through 2024, when I sold all my altcoins, a month and a half ago now at this point, I was in like 16 to 20 coins. I'm going to be in 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 this time. Just better manage it. And in fact, I might just be in 2 or 3. It might just be just Aerodrome and then like a couple other little plays. It might be a 3-way split between Aerodrome, Ondo, and Jupiter. I might cut Ondo out because they do have a very large token supply increase coming. So maybe I don't want to be an Ondo, so like I'm dabbling. Aerodrome's definitely going to be the linchpin. What was that?
So does Sui.
Yeah, but the thing is Ondo has a massive, Sui's supply increase is 5%. Ondo's is doubling. So that's different. That's a big one. I forget the date on that though, just FYI. You can go to token unlocks and take a look at it yourself, guys. And so I went and I did a practice which was really, really useful for me. Is I went and I said, okay, this is the amount of money I've invested in the market. This is the amount of money I have in altcoins. This is the amount of money I have in Bitcoin. If Bitcoin 2x's from here, or even 50%, this is what that money will be. Okay. And then I just asked myself the question, would I sell that or not? And I had my answer. And then with altcoins, I went, okay, cool. This is the amount of money I have for altcoins. And I was like, what if this money 2x's or 3x's, right? It was the question that we asked before, Alex. Like, what if? As opposed to the typical thought, which Alex hates in the crypto space, of like, I need this to 10, 20, 30x if I'm going to sell anything. And I was like, okay, if this money 2 or 3x's, it's this much money. And then I asked myself the question of, does that change my life today? And the answer was yes. For me, if this money 2 or 3x's, my life changes now. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Do I need to have 50% of this or 20% of this or even 10% of this in meme coins in order for that to happen? No, I don't. I can wait for a good buy opportunity on 2 good coins in narratives that I like, in ecosystems that I like. And if we have a hot Q4, maybe that 3, 4, 5x's, maybe more, because Aerodrome could do more than that if shit gets really, really crazy and it gets listed on a few more centralized exchanges. That's the big thing for Aerodrome. It needs to be listed on a few more centralized exchanges. Maybe it's a 5x. if the money that I have, and granted, I've been doing this for longer, guys. I've been in the corporate world. I have been a top 1% earner since I was 17 for age groups. I started my own business back then. I did a whole bunch of shit. And so like I've been able to make good money. I took good seed money, have invested, made quite a few mistakes, had a few really, really, really good hits. And now I'm at the point where if I get a 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, which is still crazy, my life is changed now, today. And I just go, why do I need to play? Why do I need to play with things where this could go to zero? And if you're not in a position like me, which I imagine most of you are, like we spoke about yesterday, if you get a 2x or a 3x on a coin, walk away with it, sweet. If you come back to the market and you wait for a good time and you get another 2x or 3x, awesome. You now have 9x your money. Get a 3x on that, you've 27x your money. Get a 3x on that, you've 100x your money. Get a 3x on that, you have 300x your money.
You've just gone, what, 6 or 7 times, right?
Yeah, just 6 or 7 times, and you can have hundreds of thousands of dollars starting off with just a few $1,000. And it takes time. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme or anything. You're going to sell and you're going to see something go flying upwards still more, and you're going to have to watch that and be okay with it. But get small wins, and because of the power of compounding interest, you will walk away with more money after 2 cycles in this space, 8 years. 8 years in this space. You can walk away with money to retire on. When you put it into that kind of framework, if you think about, I know some people here are in their 50s, early 60s, some people here in their 40s, 30s, 20s, teenagers, right? Mm-hmm. You could set yourself up to retire in your 30s, in your 40s, early 50s, right? 10 years, 15, 20, 25 years before Social Security you can get at the age of 65 in the United States, right? That is winning. Not just winning, but crushing it. And you can do that so, not necessarily easily, but in a much more conservative way in the crypto space, and reduce your risk of scams, rug pulls, all that stuff. Because the best way to make money is to make sure you don't lose it, right? And that is a very powerful thing that never gets talked about because it's not the types of videos on TikTok or the types of posts on Twitter, X, that blow up, right? And sometimes getting to that thought process, that mindset takes time. It took me time, My first cycle, I just diamond handed everything and rode my bag up. I invested like maybe 7-8 grand, and I had well over 6 figures. And I was just like, hey, it's going up forever. I was like 23. I'd hit puberty then, but 23-year-old, I'm gonna hold this forever, guy. And then, came collapsing down. So don't find yourself in that position. Get your wins, get out, find a good spot to buy in, get a sad win, keep moving. Yeah. And you're gonna do great. And that is how you win. That is how more people win. And myself, Evan, and Alex, we want more people to win. I want every single one of you to win. All of us here, if you have a different strategy from us, you think, we're not putting enough into risky assets, we're not real crypto bros or something, that's fine so long as you are making money. I will applaud you. I will sing your praises. I'll take you to New Orleans. I'll get a parade for like $250 and have them sing your praises down Bourbon Street.
You're going too far.
You know what? That's how much I want you to win, even if you take a different approach than me, myself, and I, than me, Evan, and Alex. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but it's such a better mindset to be in. You're such a
just to give you a cherry on top, Will, because there are a lot of people in the comments saying, that's nice for you. I don't have a lot of money. I only invest what I can afford to lose. I want to put this in perspective for you. If you start out, okay, with $1,000, how many times do we see a comment that says, I have $1,000 to put in crypto, what should I invest in? It will take you 7 cycles of a 3X before you're a millionaire. Just 7. If you start out with $100, it's 2 more. You're talking about 9 cycles. There might be a decimal to move. It might be technically 10, but it is not far from you as you might think. I mean, have you ever been doing a workout and you're like doing your push-ups or doing whatever, and you're like, oh, just 1 more, just 10 more, just 2. You know what I mean? Like, you're not walking 100 miles. You're walking 10. And every gamble you take as you're walking on that road to stop and like kick at a goalpost that's a meme, if you put $1,000 in that, well, you got to sit and wait on the sidelines. You are stopped. You are halted. You cannot progress. You got to make $1,000 back and start at zero. So this strategy may be slow, but even if you start with a little, you're moving the whole time. And that's like you said, Will, just don't lose the money.
I think the worthy return to earth a little bit though is just seven. Just the 3xing a pile of money 7 times in a row is extremely unlikely. So, just for the record, like you can do it once and then you can do it again, and then on the third time it goes to 0. It doesn't work out, right? And now we're back at square one. So this is more meant as like a perspective set and just a different way to look at things with regards to like pulling profits out of cryptocurrency and stuff like that. You know, being willing to sell stuff and walk away from the table, being okay with the idea that something may go on to do, you know, another 3x after you've already taken profits, and that doesn't mean that you fucked up. It doesn't mean that you lost. The point is to fight the narrative that you are, for some reason or in some capacity, you know, weak-willed for taking profits at a smaller multiple than, you know, the waiting for the 100x in one shot.
Well, and I don't think we're advocating necessarily that you wait. Oh, it hit 3x and then you sell, because many tokens, many investments of all kinds won't do that. But like accumulating on the way to making that a manageable target for yourself, the same way you might make dropping 3 pounds a manageable target for yourself, or 3% of, you know, whatever your cholesterol.
Sure. I mean, we know that people drop in and out of these things, and if all you hear is
that's right,
3x 7 times in a row, you're a millionaire. It's like, okay.
That's right. But you build that 3x up by taking profits, by making small, manageable steps, not investing more than you can afford to lose, and hanging out with people like this. Get in a community of people who want to help you think that way in terms of success for you, who aren't saying you got to have this or that. I will not name the influencer, but maybe I just don't want to get all their cronies in here, all their fake accounts in here if I say their name 3 times like Beetlejuice. This guy was on the live last night, and it's somebody everybody watches who I just can't take seriously, who was saying, man, somebody showed him a crypto and he was like, man, that's got that. It's going to touch AI. It's going to touch gaming. It's going to touch this. It's going to touch that. He said, I'm interested in that.
Because the brochure said so.
Because the brochure said so. And I was like, oh, no. You know, like, look at all these people about to lose their money. So, you know, we don't care what your background is, where you're starting. We want you to hang out with us, be part of the community, and we'll all learn and grow and rise up together. Not everybody out here on TikTok is your teacher, right, guys?
Ooh, also, on the same ethos of that, I put up a video this morning that Alex and Evan, I think, would be good to stitch on. It was a list of 5, it was actually 7 different tools for people to use to rely less on influencers on TikTok. And so I know there are tools that you guys really like to use all the time that are a little different from the tools that I like. So I listed 7 of them. 2 of them were combined. So it was like CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. So that was like 2, you know, but for 5 different things that I use them for. So I think it would be good to potentially stitch or make your own video also. Like, hey, here's some extra tools too on top. So if you guys want, that video's out there. I put it out this morning.
Write myself a note.
I will. Look, I want to try to do that one a little bit more regularly. I filmed one last night that I edited and haven't posted yet that also has my short list. I think I have 7 things, 8 things. I don't know. It was CoinGecko, CoinMarket Calendar, Crypto Panic.
I actually don't know that one.
Token Unlocks, DeFi Llama, DApp Radar. A new one that I found yesterday while I was poking around called Artemis.xyz. Had never heard of it. That's the alpha for today. It's super cool. Some very interesting charts that I've not seen.
What kind of info do you get off of it?
it's just a whole bunch of different analysis and metrics and stuff. Let me pull it up and see how they describe it. It's Artemis, like the goddess of the hunt, XYZ. On-chain fundamentals for digital assets. And I was impressed by how many things were free. But let's see here. Hold on. Here.
While you're doing that, I'm going to answer a real quick question. What's the difference between crypto and shares? The difference is that shares represent ownership in a company, and most of the time you don't hold them directly. Sorry about that, I'm throwing stuff. Crypto tokens can represent many things. You can have a crypto token to represent that you came to the live stream today, but it doesn't necessarily mean you own our company. Think of tokens as a new medium, like words or paintings are a new medium that will help people make meaning about a variety of things, including money and ownership, but also identity and stories and relationships. That is the big difference. Crypto tokens are a medium. They're more flexible than shares, but mostly also, in the purest context, you own them. They are in your control. You don't rely on anybody else to transfer them. Nobody can restrict you from sending them, receiving them, buying them, selling them.
And also, Joe Sadiq, you are also correct. With most of cryptocurrency is pump and dump nonsense. You are absolutely correct.
We had a stat on the show yesterday that of the 1.1 million token launched in 2022, only 40,000 of them had more than 10 transactions. And of those 40,000, 24% were pump and dumps. They went up, they went down, never went up again. So it's like a small fraction of crypto. Most of the time when somebody tells you about a new crypto, you can say, no thanks. You know?
Yeah. If you ever hear, usually if you hear a lot about a cryptocurrency on TikTok, usually it's something to be highly critical of. Usually. It's always like we were talking about this with Alex, when you hear about a cryptocurrency, pick up your no hammer. Pick up the hammer ready to just slam it down on it as the garbage that it most likely is, because odds are it is. But then, have it in your hand, take a little look at it, and then go, oh, maybe I want to take a look at this later. And you can smash it with the no hammer later.
It's not like a lottery necessarily, because a lottery implies everyone's just guessing. Crypto tokens sometimes have very purposeful existences. Bitcoin is an extremely purposeful token. It is important that it exists, and you can logically take apart the reasons why it is worth what it is worth. Dogecoin is like it got lucky. It was in the right place at the right time to capture a culture. You can analyze it, but there is an absolute difference between some crypto tokens and some crypto companies and some useful crypto solutions than it's just lucky. And hanging out in rooms like this with people who know the history or can back and forth it with you will help you learn the difference.
Also, it's boring to say, but stablecoins are pretty cool. It's boring.
Stablecoins are cool, man.
I will say that yesterday there was a tweet that I replied to that was just like, you have $1,000, what are you buying? And I was just like, USDC. And I got a little influx of followers after that one, and some people who enjoyed the sentiment. It was the only stablecoin related comment, but I think stablecoins are cool as shit. And you want to talk about something that's the future of payments? It's not XRP. I hate to break it to you.
It's not XRP, and it's not Bitcoin. It's gonna be stablecoins. Yeah, it's gonna be stablecoins.
Right.
But so to pivot a little bit. Well, first, quickly, Will, the cool part about Artemis was that they have this terminal, and there's just a gajillion different charts. I have not gone through all of them. I don't even know what 10% of these things do yet. But it looked like you can kind of organize and build your own like little custom analysis dashboard, which is kind of neat. And it looked like you could do the whole thing for free. So I was going to go through it and see, how if that's even the case. But it looks interesting. I haven't seen anything like that before. I wanted to pivot a tiny bit because last night I did Simplified, the Twitter space, and it was a really good one. And we ended up talking about, obviously, there's lots of gaming chatter because that's the niche. But there were a few different things that kind of came up that I was gonna toss out. And these are pretty much aligned with like the only altcoins in the entire space that I happen to be interested in right now, which is mostly the ones that Will mentioned. None of these are like news flashes, but in case anyone's curious, and for the record, haven't bought a single one of these. They're just on my radar. But like right now is not necessarily the most ideal time ever because every single one of these is up like 30-ish% on the week, which is significant. But Ronin comes up a lot, and even more so, they're kind of killing it. I think, like you said, Will, Ondo is in the conversation. The supply increase is sus. Sui, of course, is on everybody's radar. Interestingly, though, it's not the only one that's like done a lot. But of course, also with regards to token unlocks, there's some action coming up for Sui. IMX, Beam, kind of like the gaming ecosystems that are doing stuff. And then, of course, Solana is getting more and more attention from large-scale institutional people, namely the Mooch himself, who is talking about, Solana. So this all is kind of coming out post-Breakpoint, which was Solana's conference, just happened in Singapore on the tail end of Token 2049. A number of things were, teased, announced, mentioned. One tweet that makes me immeasurably happy because these guys just rub me the wrong way, always have. Here's the real alpha. People who have giant YouTube channels, it doesn't mean they have any fucking clue what they're talking about. Altcoin Daily tweeted this morning that Solana has 5 million daily active users, and the tweet was quote twat by Mert, the man himself, who just said, "No, it doesn't. Everybody fuck off with this nonsense statistic." And for anyone who doesn't know, Mert is like the Solana dev. Like there's Toli, and then there's Mert. He's the CEO of Helios, which is I think at this point the single biggest staking service provider on Solana. I think they passed Coinbase, or they're about to. And so that was just, I love reading. Dude, he's like the master of Twitter. I love reading his tweets because it's usually just like people bull posting things for nonsense, and then him coming in with a swift ha.
I just found his tweet. No, it doesn't. Everyone fuck off with this useless stuff.
But just to drive home the point that like, dude, Altcoin Daily has no fucking clue what they're talking about.
That was one of the first KOLs I started watching in the 2017 cycle, and then I stopped.
Listen, here's the alpha on Altcoin Daily is that they're sweet, nice people, but all they do is repost headlines. And the thing that makes me angry more than anything else, if you want to know, what I think about literally any other influencer who ever talks about this kind of stuff, if you have been doing this for any amount of time and you've made no effort to legitimately expand your knowledge base and learn new things, I have no respect for you. And Altcoin Daily has never once gone through a learning journey where they gained a deeper and more, robust understanding of the technology that 1 million plus people follow them to learn about. They've been reposting news headlines for years, and they've never expanded past that. And if you want proof of that, find an interview that they've ever done that's non-scripted and listen to the way that they answer questions. It's going to make you cry because you read it, you listen to them answer a question, you're like, holy shit, this sounds like a kid doing a book report on a book they didn't read. Anyone can see right through it. They make me sad. Because again, they were one of the first channels I ever found. I was excited to learn. I very quickly outgrew them, and I don't think I'm not a technical person. I was not like, learning how to code and doing all these things and learning skill sets that they just didn't. It was literally just like, I want to know more than what the headline says, and they don't take me past any of that ever. So I moved on. And that's the case with almost all of these giant channels. Coin Bureau, slightly different. He does go in depth, but he also has an army of people that do all of his research for him. He is a talking head. The guy, really nice, gives everyone the time of day, will stand there and talk to you, can answer a question. But he has a research team. He reads scripts. He is an actor. He's the face. He's the face of the brand. But he has an army of researchers that compile all of these things for him and hand it to him.
Yes, but as an organization, Coin Bureau, they're fantastic. Them as a full team deliver a fantastic, actually useful product that is great to learn from.
Be a little bit skeptical just of the sales pitchiness of some of it, because a lot of the ways that they do like deeper dive analysis focuses almost exclusively on the positives. And I've never heard him talk about like legal or regulatory murkiness with like the likelihood of this project to run into bureaucratic red tape from Congress or anything like that. But if you want to know like what is the project and what is their value proposition and what are they supposed to be doing, then the Coin Bureau can put out some good stuff. But just take it a step further. It's a place to learn. It's not a place to stop.
Yeah,
that's a great way.
Guys, I have one thing I want to cover, and then I have to head off early for business.
Really quick, can I make a commercial to say that our friend Your Resonance has asked to come up? I'm going to bring him up after you cover this. And if you are one of our friends in the audience and you have a crypto question, you have a comment, you have something to share, we want to make this your show too. Feel free to tap the multi-guest button if we don't know you well yet. For now, join the Discord and then drop your questions in the comments until we can get to know each other a little better. And then come on up and say hi to us. Will, let us know what you got and we'll get you in a second, Your Resonance.
Yeah, so there was a question about FTX. If you're unaware, that was a centralized cryptocurrency exchange that collapsed with Sam Bankman-Fried. I can't say his name normally. Sam Bankman-Fried. Anyway, it collapsed, right, and brought down Solana and a few other things with it, but then Solana recovered. Anyway, regardless, FTX, centralized cryptocurrency exchange, went down. It's either 12 or $16 billion are set to be given back to users of the platform. Mm-hmm. And the timing of that, Mr. Garrison, there you are. Mr. Garrison asked, he said, like, what are your thoughts about it being repaid to people in the next 2 weeks? So the timing is a little different. So they are expected to begin paying back customers within 60 days of the bankruptcy court approving their plan, right? And it's called like their wind down plan. And the company plans to seek final approval of that plan on October 7th. So once October 7th comes, if the plan is approved, they have up to 60 days to give all the money back to people. And it's $12 billion or $16 billion. It's a lot of money going into the hands of people who like to invest in altcoins. So it's one of the events I covered as one of the events that could really see a push into altcoins specifically this Q4, which is, if you don't think about time in business terms, it's October to December, right? And that's why it's a big deal. So like putting money back in the hands of people who are already altcoin investors, probably going to see a big chunk of that start to flow into altcoins. So something to have on your radar screen and something to add into your bullish sentiment for the end of the year, so long as we don't have like some scary macroeconomic news pop up.
Yeah. Okay, Will, what do you think about this? Do you have 1 minute to answer a question? Because it sounds like Your Resonance wanted to ask you specifically a question.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I can do that. Hello, Your Resonance.
Your Resonance. He's going to stay for a second.
Residency.
What's your question?
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging.
Thank you. Very, very kind of you. I do appreciate it. Let's see if I can just take this thing away. Anyway.
The suspense is killing me.
Okay, so, William, a question to you, because you were talking, I came in a little bit late and you were talking about that you can make, I interpreted that you can perform pretty good even if you're late into this game. And I'm not a spring chicken, unfortunately. And I have some assets, but I don't have super, so I can't say I'm well off. So I was thinking, what is your advice if you're a little bit higher up in your years and you don't have that much money? What's the strategy and how to think regarding? Because I view it like this: that if you don't have that money, and of course usually they say the older you get, the more you should be in less risky securities. But on the other hand, that won't make life changing either. So I'm thinking maybe to have a little risks, take on a little bit risk, so you can have a little bit better life when you're older, etc.
So I'd say like if your time frame that you have, it's like cool, I want to invest and I want to make some money, and you think about how much time frame that you have. For someone younger, you have more time. For someone a little bit older, you have less time where you want to make that money. If you have less time to make that money, you do want to potentially evaluate some riskier plays, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go play in the meme coin casino. You can still play with coins that are in like the top 100 or so. But what I advise you to do is I'd advise you to, which is non-professional financial advice, but I would say, ask yourself the question like, okay, what are the hottest ecosystems right now? Solana, Base, Sui at the moment. Toncoin was in that conversation, but Toncoin's taken a bit of a ding recently. So like those are kind of like the top 3 coins that people are talking about at the moment. So okay, follow that money. So maybe there are some categories in crypto that you like versus other. Maybe it's gaming, maybe it's AI, maybe it's DeFi, tokenization of real world assets. Go and look in those ecosystems. So look in Solana, Base, Sui, see if there are coins there that you like. When you go into that, you're going to find coins that are riskier. You're going to find coins with smaller market caps. Coins with smaller market caps can bring you bigger returns. They do add more risk though. So what I would tell you is, because you're older, is I would take some money that you are comfortable with losing, right? However much that is, because like we said before, the last thing in the world you want to do is lose your money and lose money that you really need. So take some money that like, hey, if you're like, hey, if this poofs to zero, I'm going to take that and put it into a riskier category. Some altcoins in Solana, some altcoins in Base, and start to explore maybe some altcoins in Sui. Like Navi protocol is one that I actually have my eyes on in Sui's ecosystem as something to evaluate. But also Base, like Aerodrome is seen as a pretty damn safe play right now, but it's ranked in it's like the 200th largest market cap. So based on how much people are talking about it, it is also very undervalued, but it's also pretty damn safe. So there's some good plays still. But I would say take that risky portion of your portfolio and maybe make that 25 or 30% of your portfolio, and then take the other 75% to like 60% or so and have that be a safer play. Have that be maybe Sui itself or maybe Solana itself, right? Those plays where the money is going, but aren't going to offer you probably a 5x or an 8x or something like that, right? Maybe it gets you a 50% or a 2x or a 3x, right? But you're making sure that you're going to have a portion of your portfolio make money and be less risky, and then have a smaller percentage of your portfolio that can maybe get you that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7x, right? But you're managing your risk that way, because the last thing in the world you'd want to do, particularly if you're older, is lose money that you very much so need and want as you move forward into your golden years.
And you were also talking about compounding, and were you referring to be more active in your investments, like buying and selling, than to be able to increase from a smaller amount to a larger amount?
Yeah, it's kind of in the ethos of what Alex mentioned, where it's like, hey, if you have a 30% gain or you have a 50% gain, right? Like, don't feel bad to sell, because you can take that and then just like sit on the sideline, wait for another good buying opportunity, have another 50% gain, sell that. If you had two 50% gains, you doubled your money, right? That's pretty damn good. And then, the thing is wait for the markets to be red, buy in, and don't be afraid to sell at 20 or 30%, because if you do that, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, by the end of that, you made quite a bit of change.
Just to put it in perspective, the way that I've literally run this entire bull market, and I have not made earth-shattering money, but every single investment that I have in crypto is in the green and has been the entire time. So take that for what it's worth. I have never once been in the red since this market started to pick up last October, for what it's worth. All I did was exactly what Will just said, which was I had money that I was like, okay, you know what? I am comfortable with this. This is my working bag, my portfolio. I have confidence and conviction in this play, and this play. So I put some in. We push. We made some decent money. It starts to go up. I am taking profit out the entire time. Every time I see like a more explosive move where something like rapidly does 30%, like in a week, I'm sitting here thinking like, yep, I'm absolutely taking something off the top. 30% return on my money in 1 week is bonkers. That's great. I'm super excited about that. So I'm going to move it into stable coins.
And how much of it do you move? Do you move 100% every time?
No, usually like my rule of thumb is half. I just keep cutting it in half every time.
Okay, so if you're 30% up, then you cut half of it.
Yes.
Yeah, like I put $1,000 into something. I make 30% of it. I sell half that bag at 30% because in my experience, when I see a crypto project do 30% in a week, a cooling off period is around the corner.
Yeah.
And there's a very good chance that I'll have the opportunity to put some of that money that I just sold, my 50% that I just moved into stable coins, I'll have the opportunity to put a little bit of that back in if I want to on a correction. And I kind of like to deal in easy numbers that just make sense. My very first bull run, I had a very complicated profit taking strategy, and it was so convoluted that I just basically forgot to do it every time because it made no sense. It's like, you will. You guys. It's like, okay, I have this thing and it's going to do 25%, which means I'm going to sell 10% of this current bag size and then wait until it does at least a 10% correction and then buy back in with at least half of the profits that I just took. And it's like, dude, I already forgot what I just said. So, that doesn't make any sense. So that was all I did was just streamline and simplify that process. So, it goes up by whatever in a week. If I think it seems like, hey, that was a pretty fast move, I'd like to de-risk a little bit because I think it's likely that it cools down while other people also take profits. I do that for a little bit. And then guess what? I'm sitting here in stablecoins and I don't feel the need to watch the market like an absolute hawk. If then I turn around and a couple weeks later, hey, we just fell 20%. Okay, cool. That seems like an unsustainable dip to me. I'm going to take half of my stablecoin bag and put it back into this thing because I still have faith in it. And then I rinse and repeat and just do that forever.
And your resonance, if you wanted to like maximize that strategy and keep it easy, you could put some of those stablecoins in USDC on Coinbase and earn interest without needing to stake them anywhere. Would be like another little way to just bump yourself up conservatively.
But how long do I lock them in then?
No, you don't. That's the thing about it. One of the cool things about Coinbase's staking, we're wary about Coinbase because it's a custodial platform. They custody your keys and your assets, but the trade-off you get is by simply having, and I actually think it's for a Coinbase wallet too, which is your keys, your crypto. Okay. If you open a Coinbase wallet and you have USDC in that wallet, up to $30,000. You can earn 5% on. So you could conceivably just spin up a bunch of these Coinbase wallets, and when you need a place to park your stable coins, while you're just waiting for a week or so, if you are going to buy back in, why not put them right there and earn just a little more money than you would somewhere else? All those gains can help.
And how does that work? The yield that I will get when I stake?
The yield that you get is deposited to your account monthly. You don't stake it. Staking means, that you put it into a smart contract, and usually there is a lockup period. There is a fee to withdraw it. It is much more like a bank account.
Okay, so if I park my USDC there, the yield that I will get, will that be in USDC then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's paid to you monthly. I don't know what the schedule is, how it varies, but they will pay you monthly, and it's like 5% per year.
So there's a distinction between that and staking, because staking, then you lock it up. Is that correct?
That's correct. You are giving permission for someone else to hold on to you still own it. It's yours, but you are sort of providing liquidity to it in a pool per their terms and conditions. There might be a lockup period. There might be a withdrawal fee.
Yeah. Yes, Alex, I think it's a great idea what you said, if it's possible to time the market, because it is quite volatile. And I was looking at, if you look at Bitcoin, you see even during the bull run, you see the pullbacks, there can be huge percentage. It can be down like 30%, 35%. And if
you're not advocating timing the market, are you, Alex?
No, that's what I was going to say. I'm in no way, shape, or form saying try to time the market. I literally just react. So the thing that set me apart was that for the entirety of the bear market, when every video that I posted got 200 views and no one gave two shits, and every comment was, "This is all a scam. It's crashed. Don't you know it's in the toilet, dude?" I'm like sitting over here thinking like, hey, this company is still out here doing stuff and doing work, and they still have a runway, and this is whatever. And that's why I bought Solana at $18 and $24, because it was that exact thing. I'm like, they recovered from this, they did this, this is happening, this is going on, people still like this, blah, 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 whatever. And then it went to $200. And that's the thing that set me apart, was that I was never reacting from a place of panic.
So you basically only buy dips.
Pretty much. Yeah, it was just slow, measured, and methodical observation of the space. And if I ever once was looking at something feeling like I was rushing to make a decision because I felt like I was panicking, I just shut it off and walked away, because I knew that whatever decision I was about to make was probably not going to be a great one.
Do you ever short after a huge pump?
Nope, never once.
No.
I've never opened a short. I've never traded any options. I've never traded anything with leverage. I literally just purchase spot every single time.
So your strategy, even if you think it's going down, it's just to wait for that moment and buy the dip instead of shorting. Yeah.
Or the other thing I would say that I know Alex does, and that I will do too, is if there is a token that we believe in a much longer time horizon, the reason we're making these trades, buying these dips or selling the highs, is because we're paying attention to those tokens. And it's a limited number of tokens that we pay attention to because we can build conviction around them. The best example that I continue to return to is Bitcoin. Everybody needs it. It fulfills the most critical role in the entire crypto ecosystem. And so I am DCAing, dollar cost averaging, buying little bits at a time at a pace that I can sustain, whether the price is up or down. Every single day. I have automated it to set it and forget it. Now, if I notice that Bitcoin is having a really, really red day, and I happen to have the time, I will be intentional about taking $20 extra and buying a little more. If I notice that Bitcoin is having a really, really, really green day and I want to, well, then I can sell a little bit of it. So it's not like I'm constantly looking, and if something about that overall thesis change, if something changes with Bitcoin, I'm going to see it coming from miles and miles away, almost certainly. Or it's going to be such a big deal that it's going to have bigger ramifications than just my bags. It's going to be like our financial system collapsed or something. So doing that with a small portfolio of longer term tokens, I would do something like that personally with ETH, which I accumulate because I use it all the time, or Solana, which I am paying attention to because the ecosystem is growing and expanding, and just a handful of other tokens allows me to study their charts over the long term. I don't know if you've seen the Solana chart recently, but that's one of mine and Alex both our favorites to watch, because in the last 6 months, it has ranged pretty reliably from about $120 to $180, and then to $120, and then to $180. And since we are accumulating Solana because we believe in it long term, it's easy for us to buy a little extra and sell a little extra and buy a little extra and sell a little extra and make another 20% every time it moves directions without a ton of risk, without needing to be on our computers all the time. If we catch it, great. If we miss it, no problem. Because we believe that in the future, 5 years from now, it'll probably be worth more than it is today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Evan, you also said something, I don't know if I misheard you or something. You said something about 7 times. Was that related to 7 cycles, or what was it?
It was a math problem. I'll show you what I meant. Not necessarily 7 cycles. And Alex gave some really good color here to this number. But what I was talking about is how mathematically, the most common comment we probably get is, I've got $1,000 in crypto. What should I buy? If you start with $1,000 and you have a conservative strategy like that, and you can 3x your money, whether by doing that strategy something else, not looking for 100x, not looking for 1,000,000x, whatever, not chasing all these altcoins, but just figuring out how to grow this by 3 times, then you get $3,000. And then when you take 3,000 times 3, you get $9,000. And if you do this 7 times, then you end up with a number I have since forgotten, but it is pretty close to $1 million. And it is not that you are putting $1,000 in and waiting until it is 3,000 and selling it. It is that you are, distributing this money, making it work for you. Maybe you sell $10 at a time. You add $20 at a time to that bucket, but the target you're chasing is this. The next target you're chasing, it's kind of like if you're trying to lose weight. You don't just say, I'm going to lose 100 pounds in a week. No. You start walking more. You drink more water. You eat a few less junk food items. You're going to lose 2 pounds a week. And if you lose 2 pounds every week, pretty soon, you're looking really good on the beach. You know what I mean? The idea of compounding gains over time is all it is.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And 1 mil, that feels pretty good when you say it.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is that, and I thought of this before, but usually when you have a profit and you reinvest it and you make another profit, let's say another 3x, but usually all assets has increased at the same time over the broad spectra. So sooner or later, you're going to hit that. You're going to get hit.
Yeah, and like Alex made this point earlier, there are losses, there are all kinds of things. It's not realistic to expect, I have this money and I'm going to make it grow 3 times and I'm going to do that 7. It is hard to do, but it is easier to accomplish. You are more likely to accomplish it with discipline and commitment over time. Even if you don't have as much time maybe as you used to, you will be better off in terms of growing the money you have than you will by, chasing this new altcoin, that new altcoin, and making a move that might totally take your money away. Because the goal is just to have money to keep playing with. If you want to grow potatoes, you got to plant potato seeds. If you want to grow money in a market, you have to plant seeds of money. It's a farming sort of strategy. Alex, were you going to add some clarity? I saw your comment below.
Yeah, just so to clarify what I was painting picture wise for my profit taking strategy. When I say, double, cut it in half, do whatever, I'm literally just doing what looks like and what to me is the simplest way to make some sort of a calculation. So let's use $1,000 as an example. It doesn't matter what crypto it is, crypto A. I start with 1,000, I put it in. It does 50% in a week. And I look at that and I'm like, you know what? That's a lot for 1 week. I'm going to de-risk. So I sell half of it. So that bag is now worth $150. I just sold $75 of it. I'm now sitting in $75 of stable coins and $75 in the asset. It does another 50%. I cut that bag in half again. It does another 50%. I cut it in half again. And so the whole time it's moving up, my stablecoin bag is getting bigger and bigger, and I'm constantly ending up with more than I sat down with. And then the market corrects and it crashes and the whole thing falls 80% because it's the bear market again. I am now in a position where I have more money than I started with. The bag of that altcoin that I'm looking at is much smaller, but there's still some there. So had it continued to go up, I could have cut it in half again and continued the cycle. But it didn't, it crashed, whatever. I have a bunch of stable coins now. I look at 80% as a crash and I'm like, yikes, that seems super unsustainable. I bet you a lot of people are going to buy that dip. I still have faith in this project. I'm going to take half of my altcoin bag or my stablecoin pile that I've been stacking up and accumulating and put it back in. Then the thing pumps by 30%. And I'm like, cool, cut the profit bag in half, put it back in. And that's all it is. It's just like half in, half out, half in, half out, back and forth. I never have to do any crazy math. Divided by 2 is the biggest math problem I ever do. And okay. I'm not sitting there watching it like a hawk. I'm literally just, hey, the markets are super green. Okay, cool. That seems like an unsustainable move. I'm going to de-risk. Hey, the markets are super red. Wow, that was a crazy big crash. I still think this project is going to recover and the whole market's down. I don't think it was because that project did poorly. I'm going to go read some news and make sure I didn't miss anything major. And then I'm going to put some back in. And, now I have a little bit more of that asset than I did before. And if it goes up again, I'll cut it in half and sell. If it crashes again, I'll cut it in half and buy, and just kind of keep doing that. That's all I've done this entire market.
That's good. Awesome.
Let me answer the
I hope
tax
that's
thing.
helpful.
The
that
tax
was
thing really quick.
Go for it.
So, great point. A couple people have made just about taxing. So every time you convert an asset into a different asset, that is a taxable event every time. It doesn't matter if you're moving it into stable coins. It doesn't matter if you're changing your Bitcoin into ETH. It doesn't matter if you're selling it into dog with hat. It is a taxable event every single time because you turned one thing into another, either for a profit or for a loss. There are two types of tax. There is capital gains, which is the amount of tax you will pay on profit. So if you start with this $1,000 and you've got it goes up by 50% and you sell and you've realized now a certain amount of dollars in profit of that asset, you owe capital gains tax just on the profit, not on the original amount. And the amount that you owe depends on your income tax bracket, which you can find on the IRS website. You can see where you fall, and it'll tell you exactly what your capital gains tax obligation is for your income bracket. This is often misrepresented and used to scare people out of selling. It's a fear manipulation tactic. It's bullshit. Don't listen to anyone who talks to you like that. Most people, the vast majority of people, do not owe a very high capital gains tax rate. In fact, there's a decent chance you might not even owe a rate at all. There is a lower income tax bracket that owes 0. The average is in the low double digits percent, like 10 or 12%. So just look, it's all on the IRS website, for whatever your current income tax bracket is. On the other side, if you sell something that you've lost money on, you can declare a capital loss up to $3,000 for your personal tax obligation in any calendar year. And if you go over 3,000, you can actually roll that into the next calendar year and count it against your taxes the next. Personally, I think that rule is garbage. I think it's insane that there is no ceiling on capital gains tax, but there is a really low ceiling on capital loss. That's horseshit, but that's the world we live in. The other things that you can do to help mitigate that a little bit, especially now with the fact that we have Bitcoin spot ETFs, you can trade those in and out of a brokerage account like a Roth IRA, and you can change your tax obligation that way as well. So I own the Grayscale Bitcoin Spot ETF in my Roth IRA through Charles Schwab, and all of that profit is pre-taxed money. So cool, it's staying in my retirement account. That's the thing. There are different ways that you can kind of get around it. We're working on getting one of our friends who is a tax accounting specialist to come in
next Wednesday, he said,
and help kind of talk a little bit more about like specific tax mitigation and tax strategy. That's not my area of expertise. Neither Evan and I are accountants. We've just been doing this for a while, but we've got a real accountant coming to help answer some more questions like that specifically. Moral of the story: yes, every time you sell is a taxable event. But don't let that scare you out of taking a profit. I always just ask myself the question, would I rather pay tax on a profit or write off a loss?
And Alex, that is a beautifully concise summary, but I do want to add 2 pieces, can I?
Yes, please.
Because these are important too, is that if you lose your crypto, meaning you are stolen from, you are hacked, you are compromised in some way, that is not claimable on your taxes. If you are airdropped crypto, depending on the amount, and especially if you sell it. If you sell an airdrop, because we're getting junk airdrops all the time, you don't sell it, it doesn't touch your bank account, don't worry about it. You don't have to report it. But if you do get an airdrop, that also is counted as income. And if you need help with these things from real accountants, not just us. But Alex, that was really good, man. You should check out Coin. Because
so if someone steals your crypto,
that's correct.
You still have to pay tax on it.
If you sold it for a gain, yes.
No.
For example,
if I haven't sold it, let's say I have an unrealized gain, and
that's right. It's an unrealized.
Someone is stealing it. Do I have to pay taxes despite that I lost it?
No, it's not considered a sale. but you can't get any tax benefit from losing it that way.
Yeah.
And if you want more help on this, the service I recommend that Alex and I have both used, we have a link for this at the website, is Coinly, Koinly. Just go to the riseupmorningshow.com. We've got a deals and perks tab. You can scroll right down. Thank you for the hat. You will see our link to go get Coinly. It works in many jurisdictions, not just the United States. It works in several European countries, several Asian countries. It works in Australia. And they are kind of like a TurboTax type solution where you click a few buttons, they integrate with all your wallets, all your exchanges, and automatically calculate your tax burden. All you got to do is spend about an hour reviewing transactions. Oh, they classified this as income, but it was really Alex paying me back for those Twinkies I bought him. Stuff like that. And then you send it to TurboTax, and you're good to go. It's a great piece of software, and we like them. We like them a lot.
Guys, a last question. I
Okay.
hear so many people saying, I will never sell my Bitcoin, but I will sell my other assets, my other crypto assets. But I question that strategy, and I was curious to hear what you are saying, because if we look at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame to get a bigger perspective, then you see how volatile it is, and it's not really rocket science that you can take your profits and go back and buy the dip in again. So I think even people who are Bitcoin maxes should do that.
Yeah,
What's your thought on it?
I feel that way too. I just don't think I've been trying to time the market enough. I've tried to time the market enough that I know the stats are right, that I am one of the majority of people who is in fact not good at timing the market. So what I do is if I notice that it's really down, like I said, I buy more. If I notice that it's way up, I might take a little profit. But that's luck or serendipity. That's not part of my strategy. One day, when
I
Bitcoin
agree.
is worth
That's
much
enough
more, I
because
will
you
sell
can't
some.
time it, but you can take advantage of those ups and downs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. For the most part, though, I'm not paying that close attention. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for myself so that I can focus my time on other stuff. My Bitcoin strategy is pretty set and forget. And one day, when I'm at the place where I'm ready to sell some, I treat Bitcoin like a 401k. Someday I will cash out or diversify it into other things. But I think this is a personal thing. I think Bitcoin is probably the most valuable monetary asset that a person can hold, that I personally could have. More than a house, more than a car, more than a big bar of gold in my backyard.
Those are two wildly different things that you
I
can
know
own.
they're both terrible
One-
depreciating
One
assets,
is
but
considered an investment. The other is rapidly depreciating and considered a frivolous purchase.
you know what I mean, though. There are
Yes.
many different types of what people would call assets, and of all of them, I can't personally think of one for me that I have more conviction in than the value of Bitcoin. I don't say that to influence anybody.
I did want to add one important clarifier that I completely blew straight past. There is a very distinct difference between short-term and long-term capital gains. So just to keep in mind, if you sell an asset for profit that you've held for less than 1 calendar year, you owe short-term capital gains tax, which is a higher tax rate on that asset.
I think it's 30% for most
versus
people.
selling an asset that you have held for longer than a year for profit, which falls into the long-term capital gains tax, which is significantly lower. However, both are still susceptible to your income tax bracket to determine exactly what that rate of tax is. And even in the short term, it is not unlikely that people of a low income do not owe a capital gains tax. Again, just check your income status on the IRS website. And more often than not, even in the short term, the rate is not anywhere near as high as people on TikTok would lead you to believe.
No.
Usually the number that they are telling you, and that's 30% is often much higher than it actually is.
Yeah,
as well,
that means about.
for the record. But just to keep that in mind, typically it's like the unrealized capital gains tax fear push that was just going on. Like, the convenient detail that everyone left off was that was proposed for people with more than $100 million in net worth. Short-term capital gains, long-term capital gains tax on actual sales is often advertised to you as being at the highest rate, which you do not qualify for unless you are bringing home, after-tax income north of $1 million a year.
That is good information to think about for all Americans, and I'm so happy I live in Sweden. We don't have short tax gain.
I'm happy you do too. I think it's beautiful over there.
No, that's another good
Anyway, last thing. I know, guys, you don't have a crystal ball, and it's all a guessing game. But are you positive the closer we get to election?
Alex said no. I'm positive most of the time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for letting me up. I do appreciate both of you.
Absolutely.
And sharing the knowledge and dropping all the gems. Thank you, guys. Peace and love. Have an awesome day.
Thank you for hanging out and asking us your questions. That was a great time. I love getting to answer questions of folks. And I want to remind you, if you've got questions, you're in the right place. We're here Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, and everywhere else at the riseupmorningshow.com. Alex, before you got on, I teased them that we would be live in other places starting imminently. So be on the lookout for that.
Yes.
If you would like to come up like your residents did and ask us a question, we would love to have you. Our request is that first you jump over at the riseupmorningshow.com to the Discord server. Send us a message or two. Let us know who you are, what your experience is, what you want to talk about. Let's get to know each other first, because we got to keep the audience safe. We've had some real yoo-hoos come up in the box when we've just trusted our show to strangers. So you're not a yoo-hoo. Join the Discord. It's totally free. So many other great free resources at the riseupmorningshow.com, and some resources that you can pay for to accelerate your learning journey, like live classes, coaching, and premium membership. They get you just an increased, deeper access to this kind of back and forth so that you can learn and grow, accelerate your journey to understand what we know. We're not, super special people. Alex and I, Will, we're not like...
I'm super special.
Well, you are super special, and Will's kind of rich. But for the most part, we are average, everyday, regular people who have accumulated knowledge through time that we want to give you the shortcut to. Like, there's no shortcut, there's no free lunch, but there is a shortcut, and it's hanging out in the community, hanging out with people like this, having these kind of conversations. So, Alex, man, what's your final thought, good joke, word of wisdom as we ride our horses and ponies into the sunset?
I just have one more ask for all of you. I think probably the most beneficial thing that you could do if you're not in a position to, or you're not interested in, paying for the premium services or taking classes or any of that kind of stuff, is if this is valuable and helpful and there's anyone in your life who is vaguely interested, skeptical, whatever, just encourage them to join the server and hang out and come catch an episode of the show, ask their questions, share their criticisms, their skepticisms, all that sort of stuff. I am on a never-ending mission to break out of the echo chamber that is crypto on social media. It's super unhelpful, and we all sit here and just talk to the same 12 people all day about how we want to onboard 1 billion people, and people don't make an effort to go talk to that billion. So, like, if there's anyone that you feel like could benefit from this or could learn from it, even if it's literally just to learn what to avoid, because they have no interest in ever touching any of this stuff, but the ways to identify scams, all that good stuff. Evan and I were talking about starting a free referral program to join the Discord, not even to necessarily get someone to buy things or pay for anything or subscribe to anything, literally just to join and talk and ask questions and hang out with everybody. And then just doing, a giveaway like every month to someone who invites more people. So anyone, I will make sure that the permission is turned on, although I'm pretty sure it is for everybody who's, got the green verified role in Discord, but anyone can generate an invite. I'll post a little screenshot tutorial about how to create an invite to Discord if you're not sure. You can create that link and text it to anybody you want and encourage them to join and hop in the conversation. So that's my final ask for people. If you find this valuable, invite a friend, invite a family member, invite somebody you know. And honestly, I'm not being facetious. The more people that we can get in the server who are skeptical or don't think that any of this stuff is good or valid, the better. Because you always have more fruitful conversations that way. And I firmly believe that if you are an advocate for the space, an educator, a creator, someone who just thinks it's the best thing ever, and you can't defend that position to somebody who doesn't agree with you, you have more learning to do. So you got to talk to skeptics or you're never going to grow.
Well, and the other thing, it makes me kind of sad to think about this, but I feel like even still, we talk in this show a lot of inside baseball. A lot of our friends who are, you're here with us right now because you, for the most part, know, like, and trust crypto. Like you understand it. You've seen the light. You've had the light bulb moments. And our North Star for this, our passion for this, we want so much to help those people who don't know or see it yet to have an encounter with somebody who can start from zero and take them through the discoveries, not concerned with sounding smart, not concerned with, preaching to them or talking down to them, to help them have light bulb moments for themselves, to start using this stuff wherever they are in their journey, whoever they are. And also to have the kind of conversations with the depth and nuance that people who work here like us appreciate. So those people, you guys are our people, but there are people too. And that's our North Star, is there's so many people like that. And everybody else who's got a platform is mostly just, selling tweets for $10,000 or whatever the hell they do with their spare time. I don't know. But Alex, man, I'm grateful to be on the journey with you and everybody watching. Thank you guys for all you do to support this. You're really the best part of the show. We couldn't do it without you. So that's it, man. You ready, brother?
I'm good.
Let's jump off into the sunset. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for hanging out. We will be in the Discord and we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, my friends, everybody stay safe out there. Until next time, rise up.